Yeah, a lot of people think they're the same as commas, or they use them like commas, but they are very different. So remember how last time we were talking about independent clauses and subordinate clauses? Sentences that have one main idea, and then groups of words that depend on an independent clause to make sense. But normally, we would join the two by using a word like and, or but, or because. If you take that word out and put one of these semicolons in, then that functions the exact same way. So the best way to learn semicolons is by doing examples. Nicole and Martin, you guys can kind of see A, B, C, and D. The first one, the truck was on its side. It had slipped on the highway and rolled over. Now, Jack, I could put and there instead, where the semicolon is. Instead, I took it out and I put this there. So it joins these two clauses together without stopping. If I put a comma there, it wouldn't quite work. I would still have to say comma and. But if I put a semicolon there, then it works. Caden, do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you read B for me, Caden? If I wanted to replace the semicolon with the word like and or but, what would you say? My dog is a golden retriever. What would you replace it with? And yours is a German Shepherd, or but yours is a German Shepherd?
Yours.
Well, we have to choose one. And or but, right here in the middle.
But.
Right. So if we started off that way, we take out the but, put the semicolon instead. Now it makes sense.
If it's
right. If you're going to use and or but, then you have to add a comma as well. Nicole, do you want to read number 3 really quickly? And then you can choose which joining word you would replace the semicolon with.
When you take the crystal vase and bring it into the living room, don't drop it. I got it as a gift from my grandmother.
Right. So if the semicolon wasn't there, and you had to replace it with a word, like and or but or because or however, is there one you would pick? Martin, let's do D. You can read it, and then you can tell me which word to replace the semicolon with. So here, I would use because again. The plane is arriving late because the storm has delayed every flight coming out of New York. See how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how semicolons are used. You just put these guys in instead of those joining words or conjunctions, we call them. So that's all for semicolons. We'll come back to that a bit later. Colons, though, these are really, really easy. So a colon has 3 main uses. These are the 2 dots. If you're writing down a list of items to get or a list of instructions, usually we put a colon right before the list comes. So in A, please get the following items from the store, colon, peaches, pears, and plums, right? We also use it when we're talking about time. That's really easy. The train is getting here at 3 o'clock. The class starts at 12, and so on and so on. The last one is to emphasize a single word at the end of a sentence. Our example, there was only one direction to go in if you want to get out of the swamp, west. So we put the semicolon before the west just to emphasize the importance of that direction. Let's edit this whole paragraph together, and then we will close the lesson at 2 o'clock. We're going to take a look at these 3 paragraphs. And we're not just editing them for semicolons, but we're editing them for everything. Periods, commas, semicolons, colons, quotation marks, question marks, and apostrophes. We can use any mark we want on the blank, but the blanks that I put, if there's just 1, then we need 1 mark. If there's 2, we need 2. So I'm going to read the whole paragraph first, just bit by bit. And then you guys online, if you want to give your answer, you can tell me what you think belongs on the blank. And then we'll just take it slow. Okay. The other day I went to the grocery store. It was packed because this was the day before Christmas Eve. Do you want to come with me? Asked my mother. And I foolishly said, sure. First blank. What goes here? Well, it can't be a word, Kate. It can only be a mark. Comma. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other day, I went to the grocery store. Period, yes. Done.
Yeah.
It was packed because this was the day before Christmas Eve. Do you want to come with me? Asked my mother. This is a line of dialogue.
Quotation mark.
Quotation. Quotation first, Nicole.
Quotation.
We need quotation marks, but remember there's two blanks. So
Different.
close.
And then, with me, period, and the.
Yeah. Hold on. I think everybody is getting a little bit too far ahead. It was packed because this was the last day before Christmas Eve. That's a full sentence, guys. Yes, period. There we go. We got to end that sentence, and then we can start with the quotation mark. So you guys are you guys are jumping really far. We know this is a line of dialogue now. Do you want to come with me? Asked my mother. First blank after me.
Question mark.
Just question mark. Yeah, this is a question. And then how do we end this line of dialogue? Martin, what are you saying? Sorry, guys. I want to make sure everyone is involved. Right where my cursor is, Martin?
Yeah.
What are we going to put there? This is a line of dialogue. Do you want to come with me? Asked my mother.
I don't really know how to say it. It's like the two lines at the top.
Yeah, the quotation mark. Perfect. Okay, so do you want to come with me? Asked my mother. And I foolishly said, sure. So this blank after mother, what goes here? Jack, what do you think? Yes, comma. And I foolishly said, sure. So now we have 4 blanks. Remember, this is a response. Quotation. Wait, last 2, I'm going to let the online crew. Hayden, you can also respond. Sorry, say that again, Nicole.
Comma and quotation.
Is it a comma and a quotation?
Sure, I think it's.
No, I said quotation mark.
This is the end of our line of dialogue. Don't forget. So it's not a comma. It's a period. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that's the first portion. We'll get through the next portion and the last one, and then we'll end our class, guys. So, we'll get there at the very end. So now we're going to introduce apostrophes into the second paragraph, and there might be a few more question marks and things like that. We must have spent 3 hours inside. First one, must have.
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe, yeah. This is a contraction. So this is a contraction from must have, right? So then we have our little apostrophe, Kaden. We must have spent 3 hours inside. And
Period.
Period.
period. Everyone I saw was running around. That sounds like a complete thought. Martin, Jack, what do you guys think?
Good.
Good. Period. Another short sentence.
What is?
Nobody was acting polite or being courteous at all.
Okay.
Yeah, we can put a capital there. What's the other mark we could put down? If that has to stay a lowercase, we could end this with a period, or if we want to join that sentence. Sorry, Nicole, you'll have to speak up a little bit. Oh, it's Kaden. This was the mark that we just did.
Semicolons.
Well,
Semicolons. Yes. Everyone I saw was running around. Semicolon. Nobody was acting polite or being courteous at all. Now, you guys are all right. You could put a period in a capital, like Nicole, you were saying. You could add another word if you want, Hayden. And nobody was acting polite. So they all work. As long as grammatically they're correct, then we're fine. Martin, let's do the next one. When I reached for the last container of vanilla ice cream, comma, a woman stopped me and said, "You can't have that." So right after said, we could put an exclamation mark at the end, but this is just the start of the line of dialogue.
Quotation mark.
Yep, quotation mark is one of them. We have a quotation mark here.
Comma.
We have a comma after said. Yeah. Don't forget, guys, anytime someone is about to say something, we always have a comma after said, or after a line of dialogue, then there's the comma, and then said, my mother. Okay, you can't have that. There's another blank for can't.
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe.
and it's his.
Right, it's mine, another apostrophe. Okay, and what are we ending with here? There's a period there, quotation. Right? Okay. I said no, this isn't a line of dialogue, this is just reported speech. But the next part is a line of dialogue. So I'm going to ask Martin, if we're starting our dialogue line here, Martin, something someone says, what are we starting with?
Quotation.
Yeah, I'm just asking Martin, Nicole. So I want to make sure everyone is participating.
Quotation mark.
Quotation mark. And then at the end, I got it first. This is the end of our dialogue.
I think another quotation mark.
Yep, another quotation mark. And there is one little punctuation mark we need just before.
Comma.
Comma. Right. I got it first, I told her. And then she tried to take it from my hands. What the heck is going on? I thought. Sorry, I'm missing a blank here. Now, this is a thought, but this is the character thinking or saying this to themselves.
Quotation.
Yes, this is also a quotation mark. Sometimes authors put quotation marks for thoughts, and sometimes they don't. You can have
Something
either.
is like a specific font for a thought.
Yeah, or a specific thought to a character. Especially if it's the main character, sometimes you put in quotations. Okay, what the heck is going on, I thought? Oh, wait a minute. That can't be a comma. It's got to be something else. Period? Are you sure? There we go. Yes, this is a good question. Yeah, see, everybody always forgets. Everyone always forgets the question marks. Well done, Nicole. Good catch. Okay, was this woman actually going to fight me over a container of vanilla ice cream?
Question.
Another question mark. Yeah. See, guys, it's so easy to just want to put a period after everything. But this is another question. There's two questions here. Okay, last one, and then we're all good to go. Luckily for me, my mother came over to help. She screamed at the other woman and pushed her aside. What goes here?
The period.
Right. Period. Everybody's answering at once, so I just have to gauge everyone's answer. Okay, last two. We left everything, or we left with everything we needed,
Comma.
comma, but it cost us the whole afternoon. Martin, what are we ending there?
Period.
Comma.
Explanation. Explanation.
Exclamation mark. It can be exclamation, it can be a period. It can't be a comma though, Kaden, because this is the very end of the sentence. There's only going to be 4 types, really simple ones that we're going to look through. And again, I'm going to get you guys to read each of these because this is really important and this will be on the exam. So this time we'll start with you, Martin. You'll do the first point where it says, okay?
What?
Right where it says a narrative paragraph. This is
A
the first
narrative
type.
paragraph tells a story. It gives us information about a story, like chronological.
Chronologically.
That
Yeah.
means in order of time. First, second, third, etc.
Perfect. So Jack, this is important for you because you were asking what paragraph types are. A narrative paragraph, this is what it means. It tells a story. And usually things happen in order of time. So if I'm telling a story about how my weekend was, I would say, first I went on a drive to the beach, then had a barbecue in the afternoon, and then in the evening I went to a restaurant with some friends, and then I went home. So that's first, second, third, fourth, morning all the way to night. That's a narrative paragraph. Nicole, can you read a descriptive paragraph, please?
Descriptive paragraph describes information based on how something looks, smells, tastes, feels, or how it functions. A book that talks about food would have descriptive paragraphs. It tells us how certain foods look, taste, and smell.
Perfect. Do you guys understand that? Yeah, Kaden? Yeah, the descriptive paragraph is really easy. Anytime we're talking about anything involving all 5 senses, you're describing something, that's obviously a descriptive paragraph. So cookbooks have them. You can write descriptive paragraphs about anything. Kaden, where it says comparison and classification, can you just read that one, please?
Double or the different when or coherence.
In our solar system.
Yeah.
Right. So comparison or classification things. So instead of having one narrative, like in a narrative paragraph, or having one descriptive paragraph, with comparison ones, you have 2 things that you're comparing to each other. So now in a paragraph like this, I can say, this is how cats differ from dogs, or this is how the planets in our solar system are different from each other. Everybody cool with that? Nicole and Martin? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This last one, Jack, I'm going to ask you to read this one very slow. This is probably the most difficult of all the paragraph types. So right where it says cause and effect, Jack, I want you to just read that. Okay, let's talk a bit about the last one. So if something is cause and effect, it means we've got a problem and then it has a result. Paragraphs that talk about if A leads to B, then B leads to C, or if we're talking about a problem that isn't quite solved yet, but it affects us personally, these are all cause and effect problems. Okay, every problem has a cause, and that is going to have an effect. So we see this a lot when you guys are in school on issues like climate change or on issues like pollution. Pretty much anything environmental or even social is going to have cause and effect problems. So of all 4 of these types, cause and effect, you see that more in essays. You see narrative paragraphs with stories. You see descriptive paragraphs pretty much everywhere. And then comparison and classification, usually you get those on reports, like science reports. Any questions on this slide, you guys? No questions? Okay, Nicole and Martin, any questions from you guys?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. No, Martin, or yes?
No.
Okay, I'm glad this is pretty easy. So Next slide. There's going to be there's going to be a good amount of classwork to do in this session. So everybody's got to be prepared to do some writing and answer a few questions. Before we get into that, second slide on paragraph types. This might seem like a lot of information to keep in mind, but the most important thing to remember is that paragraphs provide detailed idea across to the reader. How you organize it is completely up to you, guys. Yep. You decide if you want to write a narrative paragraph or descriptive paragraph. It all depends on the topic that you've been given to write about. Here's another thing too. So all the paragraph types that we've mentioned, they can like overlap each other. So you might not get a narrative paragraph.
Not we write, not just
Yes.
one kind of paragraph type.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll be writing a paragraph and you'll start off as a narrative paragraph, but you're also describing things. Or in other times, if you're writing a comparison paragraph, like between dogs and cats, you'll probably have to describe what they are. So you're going to be using a descriptive paragraph parts. So all these types can overlap each other. They're not, yeah, they're not completely separate. They can overlap each other. So we're actually going to practice reading and so there's going to be more writing involved, but we have to do it because, again, this is where all of our lessons. So I'm going to just ask a couple people to read this out loud. That's cool with you guys. And then we're going to take a look at the main ideas, the type of paragraph, and what we learn. We'll do the first one together. I'll help you guys out. The next two,
So we just
you guys are going to do those. We're looking at the paragraph type, Caden. Also, what is the main idea and what we learn from every paragraph. So, Jack, for lions and tigers, I'm going to ask you to read right from the beginning, just to here. Nice and slow, okay? Wait, hold on. A little bit slower. So remember for the periods and commas to pause. So lions and tigers are both very dangerous animals, but they're also very different. For one thing, adult male lions have mates. Okay, I'll let you continue right here, where it says this. Right here, where it says this is. Amount. Main, yep. Full main. Good. Okay, Caden, right where it says they have, all the way down to brides, and then Nicole, right when Caden's done, you can go from tigers just to the very end. Stripes. Whiskers. Intimidating. Mhm.
is the largest that lion counts the impact.
Good. And Nicole, if you just want to finish the rest of this paragraph here.
Tigers are lone hunters, meaning they hunt for food on their own. Additionally, tigers and lions live in different parts of the world. Lions prefer large expanses of hot savanna territory. Tigers can live in jungles, plains, and places where there are lots of trees.
Okay, excellent. So pretty straightforward. It's not a very difficult paragraph. You guys are all capable of writing at that level. But now we're going to talk about these questions and answers. So Martin, you didn't get a chance to read. I'm going to start with you, and I'm actually going to type in the answers just right here in our slides so you guys can see it.
Okay.
Now, anyone can help answer the questions, but as long as we're able to answer each of them, that's what we're looking for, because on the next slide, you guys are going to do it all individually. Okay, so the main idea. What is the main idea of the paragraph, Martin? Very simply put. Wait, Katie, hold on.
The main idea,
Yep.
Fighting.
Say that again.
Fighting.
Who's fighting what? What do you mean fighting?
The lion and tiger are fighting.
Okay. Does it say in the paragraph that that they're fighting each other?
No.
Yeah, it talks about what makes them different, but not who would win in a fight. So try and get a little bit more specific here with what this paragraph is about.
The appearance and the habitat.
The appearance and habitat of tigers and lions. That's one thing. Anything else, Martin?
Facts. They're telling like
Yeah.
facts about the animal.
Right. Factual information about them. Caden, anything to add? To describe them?
And compare.
Right. That's the main idea of the paragraph. Really simple. We don't really have to overthink it. Okay, next question. Jack, I'm gonna start with you with this one. What type of paragraph is this? Yeah, narrative, descriptive, compare and contrast, or cause and effect? What do you think? We kind of gave it away in yeah, compare and contrast. Does everyone understand why it's compare and contrast?
Because it's the main
They're comparing the lions and tigers.
Exactly. Two things are being compared. Tigers. Even in the title, it says lions versus tigers. That's why it seems like it's almost like a paragraph about them fighting, right, Martin? But the versus just means the differences between the two.